Hello. Welcome back, everybody. I said that I was probably going to do part three to my previous videos. If you're new here, if this is your first video, you can go check out the other two. And, like I said before, feel free to leave a comment down. I read my comments. I will respond because I feel like this is a topic that, it needs to be spoken about more. You know, it's not like so weird. We need to talk about this. Anxiety and panic attacks and things of that nature and what it can leave behind or what it can cause. Anyway, welcome to the channel, Rose Strange. I welcome you with peace, love, and harmony. All right. And let's go ahead and continue with part three. So, got to the hospital. And the doctor gave me the metoprolol. The next morning, didn't take it because I felt like the blood pressure was normal and I didn't want to bottom out. So that day I was okay. Took another shower, went and sat outside. I went to my car for something, and then I noticed that walking from the porch to my car, and I'm in the car, I feel my heart, I don't feel my heartbeat going. I just feel like, overwhelmed. So I look and I see that my heartbeat is at 155. And I'm like, from walking to literally from the porch to the car, that's crazy. So I said, okay, Rose, just breathe. Maybe you having a panic attack or whatever, or, because I'm still thinking it's a panic attack. But then I'm like, no, we talked to the doctor last night. It's the SVT to lower it. So I said, okay, go lay down. You didn't get the pills yet. So, go lay down. Cause he gave it to me late that night, So I laid down and I laid down I said, we're not going to go back to the hospital because remember I said from the first video that my insurance was supposed to be kicking in on May 1st. This was going on 2 weeks before May 1st. So imagine the hospital bills. Isn't it lovely? Anyway, I'm laying there and then I realize I get up and I go use the restroom. I laid there for like 4 hours trying to meditate and, just be at Zen. And I realized when I go from the bedroom to the bathroom, my heart rate goes up to 152, 156. And I'm just like, why? So I said, your keys are in the chair. Just grab your keys and just go. So I let it drop all the way down. I sat there. I grabbed the keys, got in the car. This is like 11 o'clock at night. I sit in the car and I just breathe. I crank the car up. I drive to the hospital. In the parking lot, I sit there. Now I get out the parking lot, and from the parking lot just to the outside of the emergency room to the bench, my chest started burning. I look at my watch and it's like 176, one high. Chest is burning. Like somebody put what is like you drank some hot tea, but it just sat right there. It just sat there. And I'm just like, okay. So I sat there and I just waited. And I waited 2 minutes or so. And then I got up and went inside and it was literally right there. So I was on the desk and I was telling the nurse everything. She said, sweetheart, you think you can walk in here? And I was like, no, because I had already reached my max. You know what I'm saying? And it was a blessing that all these nights that I had been coming to the emergency room and things like that, that I didn't strike a heart attack or, my heart wasn't damaged and things like that, because they check all my levels, my troponin levels, my thyroid levels. They gave me an HIV test. They took everything. Everything came back fine, right? So at this point, I'm like, what is causing this? Because I remember her telling me, the doctor from the other hospital, it was SVT. And so she was telling me to cough to drop the heart rate, and it was working when I was doing it. I think that's why I was able to make it that far to the hospital. So the doctor that was there that night was the same doctor that saw me the night before. And what I like about this doctor is that the night before, when I told him what was going on, he wasn't so quick to try to tag it to anxiety. He was trying to look at what's the issue at hand. If you guys have things that you go to the hospital for, and you might have anxiety, or God forbid it's another condition and things like that, do not let them just tie something to that sickness. Have them assess the problem that you're feeling. If you're having a stomach ache, have them fully assess that stomach ache. Don't tell me, "Oh, I have this because I have GERD." Check me. That's why I came here. I know I have GERD. I have medication at home for GERD. I take it. That's what you tell them, and I'm using this as an example. But don't come in here and tell me I have GERD and you're not checking me and you're just saying, "Oh, maybe because you ate something bad." But what if I have a bleeding ulcer? What if I have something else? What if something else is really wrong with me? Have them do what they're supposed to do, because that's what they're there for. And not all healthcare workers are bad. You get what I'm saying? But they're very busy. We're busy. It's a lot of people, a lot of patients and stuff like that. But then again, you don't get in this field unless you have compassion for people. It's not just making money. Be compassionate to others, because we all have to be a patient to somebody someday. You know what I'm saying? So when I was there, he listened. That doctor listened. So when he saw that I didn't take it, he wanted to admit me that night before. But I was like, okay, maybe let me just take the pill, because remember, I did not have health insurance at that time. I paid for it, but it didn't start until the May 1st. So, and I think that's crazy too. But anyway, he admitted me, and he said, "We're going to admit you tonight." I said, "Okay." He said, "You ready for the?" I said, "Yeah, I'm ready. At this point, whatever. Let me just run up these bills. Let's go." So we get into the hospital. He gave me they gave me an aspirin while they took my blood and ran the test, make sure that I did not have a heart attack in the midst of all this stuff happening. They put me on telly, which is where they put the little machine to you, and it's, measuring your heart rate and stuff like that. And my heart was doing good and things like that. And I was in the hospital for 2 nights. And they gave me metoprolol that night, and it stopped my issue. It wasn't an Ativan. It wasn't a Xanax. It wasn't a hydroxyzine. Sometimes panic attacks and anxiety attacks leave behind trails. Yes, you're going to have symptoms that linger around for days, but if it's the heart that's bothering you, if it's the fingers that's tingling, go to the specialist that specializes in that, because you don't know what that could have done, and I feel like anxiety attacks and panic attacks have been around for years, and a lot of people just give medication for it, because they say, okay, you done hit the line, so you just need to calm down and stuff like that. But some of these things can be assessed by the doctor that specializes in it. Like, I went in there for anxiety attacks. I'm grateful for the people that looked after me, and they tried to, give me what normally works for people. But my problem was my stress. It wasn't the doctor's fault. My stress that I allowed to consume me. I had reached my level, and it left behind, a surge. My heart, my cardiac appointment for my cardiologist is tomorrow. So that's another story. I'll let you guys know about that. I'll tell you about that. But right now, we're just going to talk about what's at hand. So the metoprolol worked. They gave me that with the aspirin. It brought everything down. I did notice that if, like, the metoprolol wore off, my heart rate would go up, and then it would give me feelings of anxiety. So imagine how many people are walking around here and they think that their heart rate's going up, and they automatically feel the feeling of anxiety, and they only think that it's happening because they keep having chronic anxiety attacks. Is something else wrong? And I wouldn't have found that out if I did not put myself in my own triage, where I sat there and I studied my body to see exactly where my issue was coming from so I can explain it to the doctor when I got to the hospital, because I didn't want to hear that this was attached to anxiety. I needed an answer. And I told my god sister, I said, you know, I wonder how many people out here are just popping Xanax every day or popping Ativan every day or taking, anxiety pills every day. Not saying that people don't need it. Some cases they do need it. But what if it's a case where it's something it just misfired your body, it threw your body off? Because something like that, something so drastic as an anxiety attack or a panic attack, it's not something that our body was used to feeling every day. You get what I'm saying? We weren't used to feeling the feeling of doom or getting sweaty palms or numbness in our face and our heart rates going up. Our body is not immune to that. So when it's something like that happens, that's like going out and you using your leg and you overexerting and then you sprain your ankle. You're not going to say, oh, I overexerted it, I'm going to walk on this sprained ankle. No. Your heart is a muscle. It can get sprained. Your brain is a muscle. Your body, we're not invincible, and it's okay to say, hey, look, I had an anxiety attack. Hey, look, I had a panic attack. Listen, they gave me all these pills. Da da da. I've talked to people. They've told me their experience. Some people have had the opportunity to take days off from work. Some people have had the opportunity to take months off from work. I'm not one of those people that have been blessed to do so because I have bills to take care of. I have family members that I look after, and I'm not one of those people that can afford to lay down. So my next videos will be talking about what I discovered about myself during these last 2 or 3 weeks that I wish I would have caught before. So, love, peace, and harmony. Peace to you. Until the next video.